So one of the things that you see on YouTube is channels that are dedicated to reviewing Australian culture. You know, American reacts to Australian whatever. I'll put them into two categories. There are some that aren't overly interested in Australian culture. They just want to highlight what makes us different and either mock what makes Australians different, or some will act in a sort of condescending manner. Well, this is what makes us better than Australia. Those channels are usually, I do not go back to if someone is acting in that manner. But my favourite reaction channel is one called Ryan Was. And I'm going to do a reaction to one of his videos that is reacting to a video relating to Australia, because I have huge respect for this guy. He is clearly genuinely interested in Australia and Australian culture. He's never patronising about Australia. He will admit when he doesn't know something, and quite often when he doesn't know something, he will go and he will find out what it is. On top of that, he actually has on his website apparently a link where you can actually recommend videos for him to review. Now, the only, I wouldn't say criticism, but the only thing with his channel that sometimes frustrates me is when he does reviews of videos about Australia that have been made by people that aren't from Australia. Sometimes those videos are pretty close to being spot on. Sometimes they miss the subtleties that an Australian can add in terms of interpretation. Overall, though, I have noticed, though, that one thing he does brilliantly, and particularly with videos that have been made by non-Australians, is that he is prepared to question people's observations. So he's not someone that just watches a video and takes everything that is said blindly and accepts it. He questions as well. So there are so many good qualities about this channel. So if you enjoy reaction channels, definitely go to the link which is in my description for this video. Check out his channel. If you're Australian, you will probably find it quite enjoyable. If you're American and you want to truly find out about Australian culture, this is a good channel to go to. But let's jump into a review of a video that he did about the Australian Ute. I will preface this by saying that I haven't used the entire video. The particular video that he was looking at used a lot of historical stuff, which for the purpose of what I'm talking about is totally irrelevant. So I've mainly focused on the relevant facts from the original channel and Ryan's comments and reactions based on those facts.
Happy Arvo. Hello. Thank you for being here. How you doing? So Mike requested that I watch this video here. How the Ute became the most popular car in Australia. What's an Ute?
I will put any Australians that are watching this out of their misery straight away. Yes, he does learn how to say Ute. For Americans, if the U is on its own at the beginning like that or at the end like in emu, it's pronounced U, like you are an emu. So yes, it's Ute and it's emu. Thankfully, Ryan does know how to listen to pronunciation and correct himself when necessary.
What the Ute is an Ute? I've never heard of that. Should I look it up? I guess not. I guess I'll just wait and see. Ute. How is there a whole car I've never heard of, and it's the most popular thing in Australia?
Okay, clarification. It's not a car per se, as in like a Mazda or a Honda or a Mini, a CRV, etc. But it's a type of car, like a sedan or an SUV. In Australia, we also have Utes. In America, well, you don't have the more Holden kind of Utes, the ones that look like a regular sedan with the back cut off. You do have what you call trucks, which we would still call Utes. And I will go into that a little more at the end of this video.
In 1932, a letter was received from an unnamed wife of a farmer requesting a vehicle to go to church on Sundays in and which can carry our pigs to market on Mondays. So not much then. In response, Lou Bant, a Ford designer, took the Ford Model A.
Wait. So this lady just mailed in a letter saying, hey, I want a car that I can take my kids to church in and a pig. And this company was like, well, this lady, hey guys, this lady would like this car, so let's make it. Like this lady, hey, we got a letter, so let's make this car. The world used to be a better place, I feel like. Before, now you can spam any car company with 1 million tweets and emails every day, and so they don't care. But back in these days, they got a letter in the mail, and they built a whole car.
Okay, but just for perspective, that's 1932. Don't forget that back in 1932, cars were still a luxury for many people. It's not like today where everybody, or most households have a car. In Australia, your average family wouldn't have been able to afford a car. They were really just for the rich. And also when you think about production, there really wouldn't have been an enormous number of vehicles being produced each year. And there certainly wouldn't have been an enormous number of vehicles on the road. So a letter to a car production company probably was something that was somewhat unique. Unlike, as Ryan says, millions and millions of spam emails and stuff that a company would get these days. So, yeah, times have changed a lot.
Chassis and placed a large tray at the back and coined the name Coupe Utility. Australians always trying to save time by creating
So Ute is the utility?
nicknames, consequently birthed a whole new class of car, the Ute.
Ute. Wow, okay, so it's these like small trucks that look like sedans that have the roof cut off. These are popular in Australia.
Okay, now he's getting there. He's figured out that it's a Ute, not a Ute. And from this video, the observation would be a fair observation to say that it is like a sedan with the roof cut off on the back half. But we'll get into that a little bit more. But, yep, you're getting there, Ryan.
So far so good then, but the Australians weren't
You never see them here.
about to let the Americans have all the fun. Enter stage left
But you do once in a while.
Holden. So the V8 Ute was born, and they quickly became the workhorse in rural areas. Even though Holden Utes were quite clearly successful, it wouldn't be an Australian company if they stopped there. Holden knew they were onto a good thing, and a performance
What is that?
vehicle division was created. Holden Special Vehicles, also known as HSV for short, was founded in 1987, and they took the cult classic V8 Utes and they turned the wick up to 11, providing much more powerful V8 engines and big pumped up body kits. The most famous and popular HSV is called the Marloo, sharing
What? That's it's kind of cool.
its name with many Aboriginal dialects for thunder.
I don't know about that logo, Malu.
I've got to agree with him there. The logo looks more like it should be the name for some sort of video game as opposed to a logo on a ute. It certainly doesn't bring thunder to mind when you look at it.
That logo's a little weird.
This car is notably famous for breaking the record for the fastest production performance pickup, hitting a top speed of 168 miles an hour. And when you consider that this car is just short of 2 tons, there's nothing less than impressive. Sadly, Holden shut up shop last year and no new Holdens are being made in Australia. but it's safe to say that they've made their mark in cementing the Ute as an automotive icon. The Australian public realised that the V8 would not only be...
I'm surprised this is not a more popular type of form factor for a car here in America. I mean, yeah, it's better on gas than a pickup truck. It's got the speed. It's a little, tight around the turns. And then you've got the bed in the back. Seems practical.
Practical, yes. Although these Holdens and Ford types of Utes, like what you can see on the screen, are made with V8 engines, so they're not the most economical Utes. To me, they're kind of the pretty boys of Utes. They're not really made for the heavy lifting. What you would refer to as trucks or pickups are still in Australia referred to as Utes, and they're what you will generally see tradesmen or tradies using for carrying around their work equipment and stuff.
It looks kind of cool.
As time goes on, there is an increased push towards becoming more environmentally friendly, and the space for big gas-guzzling Utes is rapidly diminishing. So what does the future hold for the Ute? Well, the only thing I can see in the current market that is a potential replacement and a future kind of cool option is the Tesla Cybertruck. Now,
that's random.
That totally is random. Now, I'm just going to say here, the dude on the original channel, first of all, he's not Australian. And honestly, what a knob. Okay, you will never see the end of the Ute in Australia. Pretty much every tradie in Australia owns a Ute. And I can assure you that a tradie is not going to go out and buy some fancy, super expensive electric thing like that to get around job sites with. One of the things that makes the Ute so appealing for tradies is that you've got the tray on the back and that you can let the tray get totally nicked up and bashed up, and you really don't care if it gets knocked around a bit. If you've got something expensive and fancy like that, I think you're going to care if it gets knocked around.
Okay, yeah. I guess it kind of looks like a Ute.
Now, this is definitely a car that you would love to hate. Now, Elon Musk has promised a Ute version of the ridiculously cuboidal looking futuristic electric.
He has? You guys are going to get a Ute Cybertruck?
Beast. Importantly, it will still have impressive pig carrying ability for the general public, but will also have the ability to do 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. And considering how heavy that car is, that's a terrifying prospect.
Honestly, if you're buying a Ute as a workhorse, you're more concerned about grunt, as in can it carry enough weight in the back, rather than how much speed you can get it up to. And I just can't see that electric Ute taking off in Australia. It'd be the pretty boy of Utes. The Ute that's owned by people who have just got lots of money and don't really need a Ute. Although, to be perfectly honest, I could imagine it just being a complete utter flop.
Now, Ford have got an electric F-150 Raptor on the way, which will be very capable and is likely to dominate the Ute market. But personally,
So would you consider a Ford Raptor a Ute?
And then the confusion sets in. Yes, they're still called Utes in Australia. So something that size that you guys would call a truck, we don't call a truck. It's still a Ute. It has a tray on the back that you can put your tools and stuff in, so it's a Ute. For us, trucks are your more commercial kind of vehicles, your heavy rigid vehicles, which I'll show you comparisons at the end of this video. But what you would call a truck in terms of everyday vehicles, we call a Ute.
I can't help but feel the true spirit of the Ute is in these older V8 cars. Luckily, there is a thriving used car market, and living in Australia, you see these V8 Utes razzing around every day. So with its strong
That's so cool.
and steady fan base, I think this car will stay well and truly alive for many years to come.
So the Ute is any type of utility car that looks like that. It's not like a specific brand. Is that right?
Spot on. Now you've got it. Pretty much, if you can have it in a wagon, then you can have it as a ute. So, many models of utes. And yes, they do go up to the size of that Ford Raptor that you were looking at. That is also a ute. As for that knob saying that there's a place for the ute for years to come, dude, this is Australia. The ute is just about the national vehicle of Australia. If you drive down the road, you're going to see utes everywhere. That's what just about every tradie in Australia owns, a ute. You go to a rural area and just about every property in rural Australia is going to have a ute. So yes, the ute will never be gone.
But most were made by Holden? Or are those the only true utes, the ones made by Holden?
No, ute is not brand specific. Like I said at the start of the video, utes are just like what you would describe the body type. So it's got a tray on the back, it's a ute. So it's not an SUV or a sedan or a wagon. So there's a whole range of utes in Australia, not just Holdens or Fords. Now, in terms of the difference between utes and trucks, I have chucked in a couple of photos at the very end of this video of what we call trucks. So far what I'm scrolling through, these are all utes. You can see they're all very different. But this is what we call a truck. So a truck is your heavy, rigid vehicle. It's not something that you're going to drive around every day in. Thanks for watching. Help me get my channel out into the YouTube algorithm so that I can start to grow it. Please like, subscribe, and share.